you, Mr. Chair. Four questions. The DFA on the issue of China and the West Philippine Sea as a backdrop. The DFA underscores that it will remain steadfast in upholding the interests in the West Philippine Sea anchored on UNCLOS and the 2016 arbitral ruling. Question is, what specific diplomatic, legal, and multilateral mechanisms will DFA fund in 2026?
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, you have mentioned the different levels of support that and commitment that the Department of Foreign Affairs is giving in this issue of the West Philippine Sea. But your question is, what are those that we will fund? Actually, Your Honor, we have the International Commitment Fund, which actually is the fund that takes care of all issues. I mean, in the United Nations and other intergovernmental organizations. This has been a very important budgetary element of the Department of Foreign Affairs. Secondly, that's on the international level. On the regional level, there's ASEAN, and we have been an active member of ASEAN. And as I mentioned earlier, 2026 is the chairship of ASEAN. There will be a good number of activities. As I mentioned, 645 meetings, particularly on the political security aspect. We will be discussing a good myriad of issues on this, and of course on the bilateral. We continue our mechanisms that we have been executing, and actually we're just awaiting for the dates of the bilateral mechanism, BCM, bilateral consultation mechanism on the South China Sea with China. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. And Mr. Chair, since you mentioned the ASEAN chairship, how will the 193 million ASEAN chairship budget be leveraged to secure regional consensus on the South China Sea?
I thank you, Your Honor. I give the floor to Undersecretary Helen De Vega and to discuss this particular issue.
Yusek De La Vega, you recognize.
Thank you, Madam Secretary, and thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. And to the question of the esteemed member of Congress, would just like to mention that for the 193 million that we're looking at for funding of DFA ASEAN is basically to cover the support for the ministerial meetings that will take place in 2026. And in those ministerial meetings that would cover issues related to areas that we are very much concerned, including the commemorative activity for the 50 years of the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation in Southeast Asia, sir.
Okay, thank you. On the highlighted 11 maritime dialogue mechanisms, which of these mechanisms directly involve China, and how will the DFA measure their effectiveness given the escalating incidents in the WPS?
I would just like to confirm, Your Honor, that we have indeed 11 bilateral maritime dialogues. But we also have a bilateral meeting with China, which the Secretary has mentioned, and this is also covered within the context of the ASEAN-China meeting on our negotiations on the Code of Conduct, sir. I mean, I'd be happy to answer any further.
Yes, one final question before I make a manifestation, if the chair would oblige. Because the Constitution states that we renounce war in our national policy, could you kindly explain to us our rather strong posturing against China? And has our aggressive, rather provocative stance protecting our sovereignty reaped a positive effect so far? And what other strategies is the Philippines undertaking to ensure that as we protect our sovereignty, we are able to maintain our standing in Asia with our economic partners, which still includes China?
Your Honor, I think the question of Your Honor, Madam Secretary, refers to how do we continue to advance our policy with regard to our constitutional, that we will maintain an independent foreign policy and strengthen that vis-a-vis our relations with other countries as well. And so I think that to begin with, we can start with the most important country, and that is, for instance, China. And with China, what we have been doing is that, for instance, just a quick background, that when we marked the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations on 9 June 2025, we had organized various commemoration activities with the Philippine Embassy in Beijing and the Chinese Embassy in Manila, along with the Filipino-Chinese organizations, because we still feel that basically the real foundation of our relationship is on the people-to-people exchanges. And we remain to this day committed to pursue our comprehensive strategic cooperation on the basis of mutual benefit and mutual respect as two equal sovereign states. And we remain to be committed to our long-standing policy of open and active engagement with China as a close neighbor. And we continue to be guided by the foundation principle again, that we have a long history of friendship with the Chinese people, sir. So maybe there are episodes, really, some pockets of issues that we're now facing, but I think it's really very important that in our chairship, we will remain to use the primacy of dialogue and diplomacy in all our undertakings, vis-a-vis not only with China but with the rest of the world. Because as the President said, it will remain to be friends to everybody and enemies to none. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Opo, just as a manifestation, kasi lately, naging matigas po ang ating tono pagdating po sa pag-assert ng ating teritoryo. At ito po ba ay nakatulong sa pag-aano natin, sa pag-assert ng teritoryo, lalo lang nating ginagalit ang ating kapitbahay. Ang ano kasi, ang sa akin lamang po, baka we might be sending a wrong message to our youth na a sense of nationalism or being nationalistic is being adverse or hostile to China. Baka yun ang tinuturo po natin sa ating mga kabataan. Ganun po ba ang ating gustong iparating na kamalayan ng a strong sense of nationalism is being anti-China? Samantalang sa kabilang banda, tayo naman ay patuloy pa rin tumatangkilik ng mga serbisyo na more or less China-made or China-infused ang capital. Like GCash, Shopee, TikTok, Temu, at dyan, kung pupunta kayo sa kalsada natin, bawat 5 metro may BYD na sasakyan, which is I think a flagship automotive car maker in China. So, hindi ko po maintindihan kung ano po ang gusto nating ituro na sa mga kabataan. Sometimes, mayroon pong mga pumupunta sa mga universidad, ganito dapat, ipaglaban. But do we have the capability? Number 1. Number 2, ito ba ang tamang itinuturo natin na sense of nationalism para sa ating mga kabataan? Yun lang po.
Your Honor, well, maraming salamat po doon sa inyong statement na yon. Isa lang po masasabi ko na to respond to that. the West Philippine Sea, this issue natin sa katubigan, is not the sum total of our relations. In other words, alam po yan ng ating mga kaibigan sa China that ito pong mga nangyayari sa tubig, the dispute, is one part. But the rest, trade, if you look at trade statistics, trade is robust with China. Of course, investments have really gone down. So, but continues pa rin ho, like we have with DOST, may mga projects ho on oceanographic, maritime areas. Continues po sa ASEAN. In ASEAN, we have a very strong discussions, healthy and robust relations. In fact, we're looking forward for this ASEAN summit, ASEAN chairship, because China will be a very important dialogue country. So sa paningin po ng kagawaran ng panlabas, hindi po iba po yung paningin namin. Ito nga yung sinasabi ng Pangulo na lahat ay mga kaibigan natin. At ito po tinatabi po namin sa isang lugar. As I said, it's not the dispute in the waters is not the sum total of our relations. Madami ho yan. People to people, very healthy po yan.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Mr. Chair, that's all for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Marcoleta. May we call on the next interpellator from the majority, Representative Munir